Hello people and welcome to Shifting Gears. It is quite an exciting day today because we are driving not one but two Ferraris here on the streets of Mumbai. Right now you can see with me parked is the scarlet red beauty. This is the Ferrari Portofino. Prices start at rupees 3.54 crore ex-showroom, and if you have all the money in the world to blow up on four wheels, this has a lot of customization options to make it a true exotic. But this is not the only car that we are driving today. We also have a very practical Ferrari to drive around and show you. That you see is the Ferrari GTC4Lusso T. This is a four-seater car and you can drive around with your family in a Ferrari on streets of Mumbai and still not worry about this car scraping maybe the underbelly, and then you might have to drive this car uncomfortably. So let's check out this video, check out both these cars and let us know what you think about owning such cars in busy streets like Mumbai or maybe Delhi and Bangalore, and if you think luxury exotics make sense here in the Indian market.
This is not a typical review. This is an experience, and this is my first experience with not just one but two Ferraris on a single day. The car that we decided to get up close with first was the Ferrari Portofino, an Italian Grand Tourer and a successor to the Ferrari California. This Portofino is super sexy to look at. The car we drove had these 5 bi-spoke dark finished alloy wheels, but then of course you can customize them to look differently. At the back you can notice a super sharp and sporty looking diffuser effect with quad tailpipes. And the tail lamp cluster, while some might think is very minimalistic, it still looks very good. Of course you have the Ferrari branding and the prancing horse logo, but you can also decide for more. When we stepped inside, the Portofino welcomed us with its dark themed interiors with red contrast stitching. Of course, the brand offers you a lot of customization options, so you can select from a different leather material, a different contrast stitching color. Then you can also decide on the interior accents like silver accents of carbon fiber and whatever you might like. The seats are super sporty, they are super supportive, and of course, they are typical Ferrari. Here you can notice that you get a digital plus analog speedometer cluster. In the center console area you have buttons like the launch control, and then when you look at this Ferrari Portofino with its top open, this is how it looks. This is a 4-seater sports car, but the rear seats are not really going to be very comfortable for adults. And once I got acquainted and understood all about the Portofino, it was time to get behind the wheel and start driving. First things first, I checked out the open and close mechanism of the convertible Ferrari Portofino, because just in case if we decided to drop the top in the middle of the road, I needed to have an idea of how quickly it does that. But in the beginning, I started driving the Portofino with the hardtop up in place. First, let's talk about specifications. This Ferrari Portofino comes with a 3855cc V8 turbocharged petrol motor producing 441 kilowatts of power and 760 Newton meters of torque. This car also comes with a 7-speed F1 inspired dual clutch automatic gearbox. And it does have a few unique tricks up its sleeve. There is no standard gear selector, but you have to get the car in motion, making use of these paddle shifts which you see behind the steering wheel. And the paddle shifts are such a joy not just to use but even look at. Now most of you might be thinking that driving around a Ferrari on streets like Mumbai might have been a big task, but let me tell you that this Portofino was driving around just like any other luxury car which you might buy. It threw around, no tantrums, and it wanted to drive even effortlessly. So the misconception that people have that these cars maybe are best suitable only on racetracks, this Ferrari Portofino, even on the streets of Mumbai, had absolutely no problem encountering city traffic as well. And that was the whole point of this drive. We were not out here with a Ferrari just to drive flat out pedal to the metal. We were here to understand the realistic abilities of these cars, which make sense even as a daily use if you have all the money in the world. But then if you are looking at something more practical, it was time to switch to the Ferrari GTC4Lusso T. This 4-seater, 2-door sports car is absolutely perfect if you want to drive with more than just one person with you and of course be inside a Ferrari. The GTC4Lusso T is the first Ferrari V8 engined 4-seater sports car out for the masses, but the elite masses of course. Look around, look all around this car, and this also is a pure exotic, so don't think that this is a mass market Ferrari and that it might be boring. It has all the elements to make you go wow when you first look at it. You have quad exhaust tailpipes with a diffuser effect, you have LED tail lamps, you have snazzy looking alloy wheels, and then even inside the interiors are going to please you. The GTC4Lusso T which we had today had these light brown interiors with red accents, and of course the sporty Ferrari seats were just fantastic to be inside. Next, you can notice the flat bottom steering wheel with carbon fiber inserts. You had the engine start stop button and a button to raise the suspension. This Ferrari GTC4Lusso T felt like a proper sports car but with the ability to seat 4. All the controls, all the buttons, all the interior elements used inside made you feel good, and this GTC4Lusso T makes absolute perfect sense if you want a more realistic luxury exotic but in the upper end of the spectrum. Our test car also came with this massive panoramic glass roof, and now you can check out the rear seats. These seats can accommodate a full-sized adult, and hence it is a proper road car, so it is not something that is going to be best suited for kids. All you have to do is pull this lever and then the front seat electrically moves forward, and you can notice behind you get rear AC vents as well. And if you think that I might have been joking that you can have an adult seated in the back seat, have a look now. I was quite happy in the back seat of this GTC4Lusso T. When behind the wheel, what matters is what's under the hood. The Ferrari GTC4Lusso T also comes with a 3855cc V8 turbocharged petrol motor producing 449 kilowatts of power and 760 Newton meters of torque. But what makes a lot of sense to make this car very practical is the 4-wheel steering wheel system of this GTC4Lusso T. Of course, it also gets the same 7-speed F1 inspired dual clutch automatic transmission, and you also have an electronic differential. With the F1 track system, the e-diff and multiple driving modes along with 46% front and 54% rear weight bias, this Ferrari GTC4Lusso T is very easy to drive. After my short stint with the Ferrari Portofino, when I stepped inside the GTC4Lusso T, I was so pleased with the seating position, which is much higher and much more realistic for day-to-day driving. This was very comfortable and I felt instantly at home behind the wheel of this 4-seater sports car. The GTC4Lusso T, as you can see here, even over speed breakers, you do not have to drive it sideways or cross it just not to scrape the underbelly. This car is absolutely easy to drive here on the Indian streets. Of course, the suspension is not going to be something like a normal sedan to offer you a soft and cushy ride. But then when you want to have a car which is super sporty and razor sharp on the racetracks, but also makes sense in your day-to-day life out on the regular streets, the GTC4Lusso T feels just about perfect. The torque availability also increases along with the gear shifts. So by the time that you are in the 7th gear, the GTC4Lusso T will have all the 760 Newton meters available on tap. So guys, apart from a standard review, this was more of a myth busting exercise for us, because these Ferraris, the GTC4Lusso T and the Portofino, drove around Mumbai just like any other car with absolute ease. Of course, we got some time to stretch our right foot a little bit, and now listen to the V8 exhaust note.
Beautiful. V8 turbo travel this time around.
later, when you encounter traffic, unless you are playing around with the throttle input too much, this car is comfortable and absolutely at ease. You can make plenty of changes to the driving modes and the suspension settings on the go to this GTC4Lusso T as well. So that's about it. This was our very special journey with two Ferraris here in Mumbai on a single day. And we were not just thrilled but also quite pleased by how comfortable they were to drive.